This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason, what do you have on tap for us tonight?
Well, we are going back to that inexhaustible well of content that is Star Wars. And hey, not just the first, like Star Wars event that we've talked about for this current era of comics published by Marvel. Well, it's like this is like a series that, hey, it's like, we've already done, like War of the Bounty Hunters, which, hey, John?
Yes.
Yeah. So you remember when we talked about like War of the Bounty Hunters, which is like, all about Boba Fett's efforts to like, bring back Han Solo to like Jabba the Hutt and all the complications that he encountered along the way. I mean, it wasn't unreasonable to think that, Boba Fett would have like a lot of trouble bringing back like the world, like the galaxy's most popular like, wall ornament to Jabba. Right? Correct, right?
Right.
Yeah. Because like, hey, like, this is something that we assume that was gonna happen, that was gonna happen. That he's gonna like bring like Han Solo and Carbonite back to Jabba, and that it was gonna like like occur like as part of like the like the natural order of Star Wars stuff as you learn like between like Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That being said, John, do you remember that time when like all of the droids like in the galaxy, succumbed to this um, like this plague where they were like like all like they were like subsumed by this one like intelligence that was so hungry for information and like was determined like 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 find a way to like absorb all the droids' information and like learn how to like translate its intelligence from like the metal to the meat. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah. Um, that's kind of the problem we're dealing with here because while I think that current writer of like a Star Wars, Charles Soule, it's like someone who's done like lots of like good work in the Star Wars universe. Um, like prior to this era, and like also like fleshing out the High Republic era, like of the Star Wars universe. Well, it's like he's like I said, he gave us like the War of the Bounty Hunters, and that was fun. That was like hey, you tell a story of like how Boba Fett finally like was able to like deliver like Han Solo and Carbonite to Jabba out of the complications that occurred that also involved like hey like the rebellion. It's like the other bounty hunters, Darth Vader, and most importantly the Crimson Dawn, um like a smuggling consortium. It's like like delivering all that like interfering with Fett's efforts to like deliver Solo to like Jabba. Like that was fine and understandable. And I think that like while I appreciate like Soule's efforts to like flesh that out, like specifically with the like follow up stories like like Hidden Empire and Crimson Dawn like storylines. Well, like now he pushes his luck a bit too far with this Dark Droids like storyline. Now, I'm not saying that the premise of this series is bad, really, because basically, it does pick up on a lot of stuff that has happened in the comics. Like for this particular like focus on the timeline, pretty well because not only do we get like follow up on like the Spark Eternal storyline from Doctor Aphra, but also just what happened with the Fermata Cage storyline in Hidden Empire as well. Basically, the uh, the Spark Eternal has fused with like this evil intelligence from the Fermata Cage, and has basically like created a droid intelligence that is like so hungry for information. And Dark Droids is basically a storyline that has like two main focuses. Basically, like like show us what the what the droids are like when they're just like like trying to like like exert their influence over like like over the humans in this era. It's like, and also just address the idea that hey, like like droids in Star Wars stories are just like meant to be like subservient. It's like what happens when they're actually like the predators in the thing, when they're just like, trying to assert their dominance more than anything else. Um, the main storyline, which is like a 5-issue series written by Soule and illustrated by Luke Ross, is kind of interesting. Like in the sense, like you hope that you've been like following up on like all the storylines up to this point, like with look at the Spark Eternal storyline that was spearheaded by Alyssa Wong in like in Doctor Aphra, and also like like Soule's work in it's like it's like in like Hidden Empire as well. And it's like that's nice and all. It's like, and I appreciate the continuity as well. But the thing about Dark Droids is that it splits like focus between being like a straight up horror story in the Star Wars universe, and also just kind of like a bright like droids fighting for their future type stuff as well. Because this is a big storyline that on one hand, it's like I would have been like, I think it's perfectly self-contained in the tie-ins that I've read. But then when I started exploring, beyond that, I mean, like when I say beyond that, I mean like the stuff that is in the Marvel Limited that I don't actually buy in physical format. Like that's kind of like, oh wow, this is like a bunch of other stuff that I don't think I actually needed to know. But it does it help? Eh. Well, Dark Droids, like like it's. I appreciate the fact that like that Luke Ross, does a good job of like like splitting his focus between like like really dark like creepy like droid stuff, them like absorbing like human parts into their droid forms and whatnot, and also like 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 droids like just like working their own way like for the future, such as like creatures like Ajax Sigma. Sigma is a new creation for this storyline that is inserted as being like initially being a droid revolutionary back in the High Republic era of the series, which is like set like 100 years before like the like like the prequel trilogy, and also the I guess you say like the upcoming Acolyte series like on Disney Plus. But basically, it's like this is like a droid consortium that is basically like like more religious than anything else. Basically, someone like a droid consortium that is basically like acknowledges like we've got our our independent thought. It's like we think for ourselves, and like and we believe in the theory of we, because like the first revelation is I, individuality. The second revelation, which our church is named after, is we. It's like like that we are all working together for ourselves. And Dark Droids is basically like all about what what comes after that. And interestingly enough, like 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 Ajax Sigma, the leader of the Church of the Second Revelation, is basically someone who realizes that hey, someone like a droid intelligence that is basically working to subsume all other like droid intelligences for its own on purpose, like that's a bad thing. And I like that. Like the idea that hey, like the droid that the droids, for this for this purpose are thinking like, hey, like we're not on board with like this all-consuming like intelligence at all. And it's like the main Dark Droid series like like covers a lot of stuff from the from like the main Star Wars series, which involves like Lando like trying to do right by his buddy Lobot. From the spin-off series written by Mark Guggenheim, D Squad, which is all about the like R2 after he's shunted and like sent out into space by a possessed like C3PO who's been possessed by the Scourge, like the leader of the like like the anti-human droid movement. Like he's like trying to get like his own crew back together and just like or like like save his friend and save like like the droids representation as they're like understood by the humans, and that involves like convincing like droid psychopaths like 000 and BT and IG 88 and 4LOM to work with him, and that actually that's fun up to a certain point. Um, when you realize that hey like Mark Guggenheim gets the idea that like 000 is like a droid psychopath, but that's like kind of the only personality trait that he has. So that's all right. I was glad I didn't pick up the like the the D Squad paperback and I just read it off of Marvel Unlimited. But there you go. But the like Dark Droids is all about just like the main story between Ajax Sigma trying to like take on the the threat posed by the like the droid Scourge, and also just like addressing like all of the other stuff in the other like in other storylines, such as like like C-3PO being possessed by his own like Scourge intelligence, Darth Vader addressed being attacked by by other droids as well, and also like Lobot, um Baylor Valance, like and Aphra's girlfriend, um what's her name, uh Aphra's former girlfriend, who I will remember after I finish this podcast. And it's like bad of me. Magna Tolvan. That's it. Yeah, like she is like she's also been like serving as well, and also hey, I mentioned Baylor Valance, and like that's another series that I don't follow as well as I should because it's not actually that interesting. Like the uh, the Bounty Hunter series, and like I read all the like issues like the Dark Droids tie-ins, like for this series for that series as well. I headed this podcast, and it turns out that no, Baylor is like losing his like like his memory like ahead of these tie-ins, and then he gets like taken over. It's like and then no, he gets his memory restored by a friend who like who restores his memory like prior to the events of the War of the Bounty Hunters. Which okay, that's fine. I've not been like as interested in this series as Marvel would like me to be, and it's just basically like, all down to just Valance being just like coming off as like a real tryhard more than anything else. Like I want like he was like a more fun comedic like Bruce Campbell type character, then yeah, I probably have more kind words to say about him. But no, Ethan Sack seems to like be content to write him as a very serious guy who is like suffering like for all his like bounty hunter work after all these years, and I really can't be bothered to care about that. So there you go. But as far as the main series goes, Soul does. I mean, Soul is has never been like a less incompetent writer, and I think that he does do some interesting stuff here in terms of like portraying like the main Scourge intelligence as being like just like what am I doing here? It's like I don't want to hurt any people, but it's like but I'm still so hungry, as opposed to the dictates that I found in this like like this like this personality that I found myself like thrusted into, and that's interesting. But at the same time, though, it's like it's never boils down to more than just being like, hey, he's a bad droid who's like trying to like like make the universe like work in the way that he sees things, and that's really like doesn't work out like to be anything interesting, I guess, as far as things go. I mean, yeah, um, the main series, does like show him being properly defeated by Ajax Sigma, and then maybe being like set up to be used as a as a it's like maybe another villain like later down the line, like maybe like Soul will come back to him at another point. Maybe another writer will look at it and go, hey, I can do something with this. But as it is, it's just kind of like, hey, this is a thing that happened, and it was all right. That's how the main series is. It's just like hey, like don't like there was just like big droid rebellion, and then it was taken care of, and then it went down right down the memory hole. It's like to the point where like no one talks about it, in like post Return of the Jedi stuff. I mean, did you hear anyone talk about this in Return of the Jedi? Nope.
Nope.
Yeah. You're right, John. I mean, this is all like Armand Tamsarian business right here. We're all down the memory hole here. Yeah,
Indeed.
but I will give Soul credit, because I do think the tie-in stuff is better than the proper the proper like the main storyline here as well. Specifically, the stuff that Soul actually did write for his Star Wars tie issues, which basically involve a lot of like stuff like about Lando Calrissian and all the shifty stuff he's done up to this point, because like in his original like Lando miniseries, where we learned about how he tried to like hijack Emperor Palpatine's yacht and wound up getting Lobot almost lobotomized in the process. Well, that's also followed up on in his Star Wars series, and also specifically in this series as well, when Lobot's like his mental degradation like follows like comes up even more like in these 5 issues as well, when he finds out that oh, like Lobot's getting worse, and I've got to find a way to save him, and this involves him like going back to rescue the droid that he that was like set up as the basis for the rebellion's like new security code that he sold to Jabba in order to get out from his debt, and now he's got to like get this droid to contribute to like to work with him to like, hey, I know I sold you up, but you've got to help me save my buddy, and because like he means more to me than anything else, because he's a total bro and all, and the robot is like, no, because if I can't help you, because if I do that, you're just going to go ahead and kill me afterwards in order to cover your tracks, right? That's that's like interesting tension that Soul like brings up over the course of this, and then because like the bits when he basically asks like Chewbacca, hey, I know you're gonna think this is sketchy, but like here's like the droid back, like Chewbacca's like. It's like, yeah, it's like it's really awkward, it's really shifty, and on one hand, it's consistent with like how Soul's portrayed has portrayed Calrissian over the course of the series. Someone who is just like, hey, I'm in this like for the fun of the game and all, but it's like I still want to help out my friends and all. Like he is the gambler, but but he just but even though he wants to have like like fun, and like prove that he's the smartest guy in the room, he's not about to do that in like at the expense of his friends, and that's like the tension on which this particular arc runs, and it's really good. It's like you get understanding about just how far Calrissian is willing to go, and it plays off really well with what Soul is like set up with the character over this like over his run in Star Wars as well. Especially to the point where we're told at the very end of the series that Calrissian is like he's willing to go on trial for what he has done, like to save his buddy Lobot. But oh no wait, we've got another like Luke Skywalker story in order to do that, to the point where it's like, oh, like the trial of Lando Calrissian is going to go over 2 separate volumes, and I hear that like, God damn it, no, I want to like get all of the trial of Lando Calrissian in one volume, because it sounds like a really good story that I want to follow up on. But that's not what we're getting. But the Star Wars volume of Dark Droids is easily one of the best volumes of Souls Run. And it featured some great art um by Money Beck Musabekov, who I'll admit that like like Star Wars, like the Marvel has just like let the like Star Wars just not being illustrated by its A-list like creators like after the initial run. But Mudabeskov has been doing some really good work on Star Wars. Just really good in terms of detail and in terms of storytelling. And the Dark Droids run, which is like 5 issues of him going at it totally, is really good. Um, Also, well, okay, well, maybe not on the same level, but also still like pretty solid is the Darth Vader run by regular writer Greg Pak and regular artist Raphael Ienko. Now, the previous storyline did a good job of setting up this run, as it involved Vader getting a droid, a small droid army at his beck and call, but it doesn't quite follow up on the same same level, in the sense that hey, Vader's got this droid army, and like now is it going to be consumed by the droid scourge? And not really. Well, it's basically all about it's another basically it's another volume of Vader just finding his own strengths, and reasserting his control over the Force after the Fermata Cage business in the previous volumes and in Hidden Empire. And it's interesting to see him take the fight to Emperor Palpatine, but it's another, but it doesn't actually work. He's still subservient to Palpatine, and even though Greg Pak does find some good fun stuff in terms of like Vader just asserting a dominance over the droids that are under his his control. It's like, well, the ultimate question is is he able to assert his control over the over the scourge after he isolates its command? Nope. No, it's not. But at the very end, he's able to assume assert his control of the Force, saying that he is Vader. Again, I am my own control over the dark side of the Force, and that's arguably of interest for the next storyline of the series, which involves him being maybe being recruited by the Schism Imperial, apparently a splinter group of Imperial of villains from previous arcs in the series, who are trying to assert their own control over the Empire. But will it work? Yeah, well, I mean, we're living in a world where Return of the Jedi exists, and Vader is still in control, and the Emperor is still in control. So maybe it's I'm thinking that Vader's still going to be assert his dominance over the Splinter faction, and also just say that hey, you're just all my bitches until the next part of the storyline. There you go. But it's all right. Now Vader's Dark Droid storyline, it's not it doesn't give me the confidence that the final 2 volumes of Puck's run, because I really feel that that they're going to that Marvel is taking a big wrap up for all of its uh post Empire Strikes Back, pre Return of the Jedi storyline on comics. It's gonna be reaching a climax at issue 50 for these storylines, specifically Darth Vader and Star Wars. But it's we'll see how that goes. It's like, but like Puck's work here is fine, and I don't think it's not as it's interesting to see like where he's going to go with this, because Darth Vader has been like the most inconsistent yet interesting run like of comics, for this particular era. Also of note for this is Dr. Aphra. Like Star Wars' answer to Star Wars' more questionable answer to like Indiana Jones, which delivered a really good run in terms of its Spark Eternal storyline that on one of my best of comics lists last year. And I I really enjoyed what Alyssa Wong was doing there, like basically in terms of like setting up like Aphra, at like as being at the mercy of a like as a pre republic Sith sympathetic intelligence. And it's like in the and even though I wasn't like immediately won over by this 3 volume arc, I eventually was. And I liked the idea that she was eventually like left the end as being someone who was just at like at the mercy of hey, she realized that she loved her two others, um Magna Van, it's like, and Son of Staros, but just was not able to convince them that like they were going to be like worthy of her, or just worthy of pursuing. So that's why we get the final volume of Dr. Aphra, Dark Droids. And like she in the first 3 issues are all about her trying to convince Luke Skywalker that, hey, I've got like a big Jedi score planned for me that will help you take out like Darth Vader. It's like, and I just need you to help me figure this out. Surprise, surprise! Because like this is like a post Hidden Empire storyline. Luke is still struggling with his control over the Force, and Aphra's like, "What? Why are you?" It's like, why are you not in control of the Force? Like, and this is bad because there's a big Jedi bell that's keeping a big giant, a big weird Star Wars creature called Star Weird at bay, that Aphra wants to get control of, but she can't because well, like Luke has to get control of the Force first. This three issue storyline is it's perfectly fine, like in terms of just like showing just like Aphra and Luke just butting heads about who's got the right of way here. But the real meat of the story is in the final storyline, which involves like Aphra having to like suss out the particulars of the droid scourge like event for her boss Dominatage. And like it's and we're meant to like since this is a big deal because Tage like basically like sleep with Aphra beforehand, and like like, hey, it's like like Aphra's just like positioned as a hey, like, what am I gonna do now? It's like in the sense that I got no significant others. I've got like no people to like to prove myself to. Well, it's like until Magnet Holvan is taken over by the like the droid scourge, and she realizes that, hey, maybe I do have to like like show that I'm the better person in order to like save like someone who I've loved. like over the course of the series. So I so like the Star Wars like tie-in arcs. Um Aphra's arc of Dark Droids is all about, just addressing her own personal growth like over the course of the series. And I think it does that pretty well, to the point where while the final issues basically suggest that, that Aphra, Sanastaros, and Magnet Holvan kind of become a throuple. Well, I'm cool with that. That's fine. It's like I think that kind of works, and I hope then we pursue that storyline like further for subsequent storylines. But that seems like really progressive and forward thinking in a way that I don't think that Marvel is really like equipped to deal with. So we'll see how that goes. But I think that that this final arc of Aphra for Dark Droids is a worthy follow up for the for the series, and the like the hints that Wong leaves for the for future storylines in Doctor Aphra, involving a unscrupulous bounty hunter, are pretty solid. Like they're fun. It's like I want to see what's going on next, even if it's gonna require another jump forward in the Star Wars timeline to after Return of the Jedi. But I guess that's a interesting way to leave this series as well. Like, does Dark Droids make for a like proper final storyline for the pre post Empire Strikes Back, pre Return of the Jedi era? Not really. It's like I think that like the fact that this is a that this is a storyline that goes like right out the memory hole, that you can't like show the same level of such of disbelief that you could for say War of the Bounty Hunters. That really works against it, like overall. It's like, but that being said, if you were just like following Star Wars proper and Dr. Aphra, then yeah, like I think that the tie-ins actually do a good job of advancing the various storylines like for this series, and that's not nothing right there. So go ahead and follow those tie-in issues, but I don't know. It's like I guess if you're like go ahead and follow the like the main event series if you're a Star Wars event completist more than anything else, because I will say, like the Star Wars Dark Droids, it's got a lot of good ideas, but all the best ideas are in the tie-in issues, and arguably not in the main series. So, respect Charles Soule for trying to do something different here, but you didn't get past my suspension of disbelief for this kind of thing. Um, I don't know. Did you get past your suspension of disbelief, John?
Well, I would just say, do you recommend this? I mean, what was the question you
Eh,
were asking me again?
yeah, I mean, it's like you don't need to read this, but I will say, if you're already invested in Star Wars and Doctor Aphra and Darth Vader, then yeah, go ahead and keep reading those tie-in issues. But I don't know. I guess you don't necessarily need to read the main event series, really.
So you could say skip it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, um, anything else on this one?
I don't know. It's like I mean, it's like I'm interested in seeing like what Marvel does next for this, because it really does feel like we're building to a climax where issue 50 of Star Wars and Darth Vader are going to be like the final like like issues of this volume, and maybe of this particular era. Like when we could be doing like it headed towards reboot, where it's like we're dealing with the post Return of the Jedi era, but that's all speculation at this point. But even that being said, keep reading Star Wars, because I think that, what's like this most recent volume is really good. And while Darth Vader has been really um inconsistent, it's also been like, deliver some like good stuff over the course of this run. I want to see like, what Pack has in store for its 50th issue, if that's going to be its final volume. So
All
there.
right. Awesome. Do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Well, if everything goes right, I may be talking about. I was thinking about talking about Kaguya-sama for this podcast, but that didn't turn out as planned. But I may be talking about, like Kaguya-sama Loves War, and I may be talking about, the best of it, and Steve may be coming back to talk with us about that for this next podcast. Cross your fingers for that, because I always appreciate what he's got to say.
All right. Sounds good. We'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, later's.